Well, I like slow news days, and we've only got, like, what, 2 months until the new consoles come out. And it's almost like every single day more news is just coming out. And it's just going up against, well, Microsoft and their infallible amounts of stupidity that seems to just wander out. Well, it happened again. More bad news for Microsoft. I shouldn't gloat. Fuck it, I'm gloating. But anyways, Microsoft's. Oh man, I mean, whoever's in charge of Microsoft now, whoever the fuck that may be, got up and said a lot of shit. He said that 30% more power doesn't really mean much in the industry. It doesn't. Graphics and all that shit doesn't really mean much of anything. And it's true that the PS4, spec wise, as what we know right now, is a little bit more powerful than the Xbox One. But, yeah. And then went off and said a bunch of other things like, we were the inventors of DirectX, we've been in this industry for a long time, blah, blah, blah. I'm going to get into the whole history thing later. But, anyways, first and foremost, yeah, having a more powerful console doesn't mean shit. But having $100 cheaper console means shit, you stupid fuck. Let me explain. Sony is not packing in uh, $100 accessory to the gaming device, which is the Microsoft Kinect. Yeah, they were originally planning on putting the PSI in there, but then decided not to because it would have been stupid. Yeah, they made their new controllers work with the PSI, which I think they're going to remove certain features like the color bulb at the end of it, which they're going to realize is just not going to be worth anything because it is kind of worthless and stupid. Nor did Sony, originally come out running screaming DRM nonsense at everybody and screaming a whole bunch of shit to a bunch of people. Sony realized that they wanted their market back, and to get that market back, they had to listen to the customers. Those people that buy shit from you. You know, Instead of saying a bunch of horse shit that wasn't fucking true. And as for the DirectX thing, let's forget that Microsoft was once a part of the Kronos groups when they got a hold of, the OpenGL API library, and then decided to promptly leave after they got the first, couple of codes from it, and then suddenly came out with DirectX. Yeah, but what do I know about this? But then you have that half-witted guy, Nolan Bushwell, the guy who used to run Atari, saying that Nintendo's on its path to irrelevancy. He said the same thing about the 3DS. And this is coming from a guy who sold his company to Warner Brothers to make the Atari 2600, which was a successful console and Atari's only successful console, and then left because he had an argument with Warner Brothers, knowing that they would fuck it up. But they basically fired him because they knew he was going to fuck it up. Of course, soon after that, the Atari 5200 came out. And the 5200 was, safe to say, a complete clusterfuck. 95% of their controllers broke, which means that most people who got it, their controllers that came packed with the console, wouldn't even work with the damn thing. And they would all have to get them refurbished or fixed somewhere. And the icing on the table was that Atari said it was going to be backwards compatible. It wasn't. It wasn't backwards compatible at all. All that was fixed with the 7800, but the only problem was the 7800 was something you call too little, too late. It was backwards compatible. The controllers actually worked, but it just was kind of worthless. And then to add the icing on this little clusterfuck, I'm constantly hearing this is on a personal note, no articles or anything like that on a personal note, but everybody's all complaining that, this generation has lasted longer than any other generation. Truth is, and this is the actual truth, starting after the first generation, or no, I believe the third generation when the NES started, consoles have always lasted 10 fucking years. And they say, no, no, it's only lasted 5 or 6. That's because people forget certain things like history, like going from the NES to the Super NES or the SNES. And what most people don't understand is that the NES did last 10 fucking years. It's just that when 6 years hit, the SNES came out in the market. And when the SNES came out in the market, for the for the rest of the NES's years, the 4 remaining years, it just looped over the 4 first years of the SNES, and the two consoles basically looped over each other. So most consoles did last 10 years. The problem here is that nobody wanted a new console for the next 10 years until that, 10 year was reached. And Microsoft and Sony, well, Sony was the one who started the ball but couldn't, mainly because Microsoft fucked up with their original Xbox and then pushed out the Xbox 360 as fast as they could. Which most people forget that the Xbox 360 was the first gaming console to come out in this gen. Yeah, this gen was started out from Microsoft, mainly because they had a little fight with Nvidia. But the worst offender of this whole 10-year lifespan is actually Microsoft, mainly the Xbox fanboys, because they just don't want to let go of their Xbox. They don't want to accept that there's a next gen coming, nor do they want to accept this. And here's the fact: not every gaming console is going to last forever at all. And like I said before, yeah, the Xbox came out first, and then Nintendo came out second, and then Sony's PlayStation 3 came out third, and it's been struggling until, recently when it's now overtaken Xbox, and it's just time for things to end. I mean, it's like one of my conversations with Samuel the Tech Geek. I mean, he just doesn't want to accept that there was a new generation all the way back when Nintendo came out with the Wii U. And of course, with this gen, first was Nintendo's Wii U. The second one was Sony's PlayStation 4, and then the dead last was Xbox One, with a god awful name, really god awful name, and lukewarm reception. And if Microsoft cannot fuck up their launch day, I mean, they've already fucked up Forza, their racing series. They fucked that up when they say, "Oh, the game's only half complete and you have to download the rest." And Xbox One's not going to have a really good launch. I mean, you gotta hook that thing up to the internet at least once. And people at Microsoft are saying, "Oh yeah, well, we believe in our fans so much that they're going to go lend their Xboxes to a friend who has internet, depending if they're not living in a complete dead zone." Sorry about that. In a complete another dead zone, and so many other fucking factors that Microsoft has thrown out the window. Yeah, yep. You gotta, as soon as you buy the Xbox One, you're gonna have to hook it up to the internet and download an update that will get rid of all that DRM shit. That DRM that one got, that Major Nelson said to Angry Joe, saying, we just couldn't simply turn off with a switch, and now here's a download that will turn it off with a switch. Oops. And they say it's going to take about an hour or so. It's going to take maybe even longer than what it took for the Wii U to get their first download, with, everybody complaining about that hour long download. and then another hour long to install. Yeah, according to Microsoft, it may take 4 or 5 hours. But you needed to get all those extra features. And just like Nintendo, Microsoft said, well, all our next gaming consoles next year, or Xbox Ones next year, will automatically have the downloads already pre installed into them. And of course, they came out with their first commercial, which I showed you in my last video. Will Smith, where are the games at, man? Yeah, thanks for the live sports showing. I mean, you could have at least put a Madden game up there. The reason why they're doing it is to show their merger with NFL, and so they're gonna show and the football season's coming. Or I think it's already here. I don't give a shit. I'm not a football fan, so fuck you. At least show a Madden game or somebody playing a Madden game or anything sports related. Instead, what we got was a bunch of guys crowded around their chairs and watching the fucking game on the Xbox One. When you could play a game on the Xbox One. A game. A football game, no less. On the Xbox One. And then you got the Skype call. Oh my god, the Skype call. And then at the end, they're just popping up all the features you can do. Yeah, there was like a feature you people forgot. The fucking games. I swear to God, I bet you million to one next year, if not this, in the end of this year, which I doubt, we're going to see EA make an announcement saying Titanfall is going to come out on the PS4. Not this year. I doubt it this year, or maybe even the first of next year. But I can guarantee you by the end of next year, I mean, somewhere between the start of next year or the end of next year, or maybe even this year, which I doubt, we're going to see EA get up there and say Titanfall for PS4. I bet, I kid you fucking not. And Capcom's going to say Dead Rising 3, PS4. I mean, especially if Microsoft completely clusterfucks their fucking Xbox One, which they're doing a damn good job of doing that clusterfuck. But I guarantee it, we're going to see it next year, most likely. And I mean most likely. And if Microsoft really clusterfucks their Xbox One release, and which they've pretty much done a good job of, especially with that day one download for both the Xbox One and Forza 5, which means that Forza is not really an impactful title anymore. You know, Microsoft's Forza series have always been a huge title, but this time around, it ain't. Basically, if you have no internet and you bought an Xbox One and Forza 5, good luck on updating getting those DRMs out of there, and your Forza 5 being absolutely playable, even if you could. And even if you did update your Xbox One finally to get those important updates, then you're going to have to go back and then you pop in that Forza 5 disc. Guess what? You're still not going to be able to play it all the way until you go back to your little friend and have him and help him download the Forza 5 update so you could play the rest of the fucking game. Add it with, oh, you don't need the Kinect anymore. You can disconnect the Kinect and use it as a fucking doorstop and to play your games. And now you don't need it. After they made the announcement that you needed it, because if you unplugged it, the whole system would stop. But now you can unplug it and it will continue playing. And before then, it was the most important thing for DRM. And they also said it would always be on, it would always record what you were doing. And this isn't an invasion issue. This is to help you with your protecting your rights. Yeah, having a camera pointed at me 24 hours and spying on everything I'm doing in my fucking living room against my fucking will is a great way to protect my fucking rights. You know what else would help me protect my rights? Having a cop randomly just break into my house and break my fucking legs for no reason. That will also be good for my rights, wouldn't it? And he does it every 2 weeks on a Wednesday. Because that's what my rights needs. Every fucking 2 weeks on a Wednesday. Oh, but, Connect. And it's gonna. Yeah, Microsoft's PR is a joke. And to add to that wonderful clusterfuck, what did we get? Oh, yeah. Two of their CEOs left. Don Matrick, he probably left to go work on a better job and get himself better security because he knew that boat was sinking. And now Steve Ballmer. Steve Ballmer, Bill Gates' best friend. I don't think he's jumping ship. I think they asked him to get out because he was seeking the company. And it had nothing to do with the Xbox One. It had to do mostly to do with everything else that he was working on, especially the Microsoft Mobile division, which is a practical joke. And not forgetting his entire PR system is a joke, and all the countless videos that just makes it so easy to make fun of his ass. And no, I'm not going to end this video with the bomber dancing in the white earbuds in his ears and him just screaming. But I will admit that was a pretty fucking funny video, especially when I was putting him in there because it just proves how batshit crazy he is. I'm letting this video go on too long. See ya.